everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Brandon, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dave. Today, we have a special guest, Bomani J. Story. He's the writer and director of the upcoming film, The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, which will be hitting theaters and also on VOD and digital June 9th and will stream on Shudder at a later date. Welcome, Bomani. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Hey, man. Thank y'all for having me. What's Gucci?
Nothing much. Taking it easy. Was just able to wrap up the film a while ago, and man, like, I just want to say you killed this film. I had to hit you up on your personal messenger on DM on Instagram and tell you that, you know what I mean, like, this was a great film, and definitely everybody should definitely check this out when it releases.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad it resonated with you. Yeah, you just never know with them things, you know.
Yeah.
So, Bomani, I read since you were young, you enjoyed writing short stories. What inspired you to become a writer and director, man?
Oh man, that's it was kind of a wild journey, or like it happened kind of late. Like I really didn't figure it out until kind of when I was 18, when I was just like, oh, I guess I'll go study film after like high school. Because I was in like this multimedia group and I was up all night editing, and my mom was like, oh, do you think you might want to do this? And I was like, get out of here, mom. But then, I slowly came, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. So as I started kind of pursuing it, I went to a community college and did, a film program there, and started learning a little bit more about movies, because it was never really a thing that I thought you could like do. You kind of just like watch them, and I had no idea there's like stuff behind them. Yeah. And then as I started, and then when I transferred to USC, I started learning more in the scope of it, really the artistry of writing. And I've always been a reader as well, so it's always kind of been adjacent. And I dabbled in short stories as a kid, but it was just, I didn't know. Like I was just, I read stuff and I was like, this is cool. And then I would write my own thing, but I never put two and two together, right? It was no difference to me than just like picking up like an action figure. It's just like kind of just doing something. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't until I really got into film school that I started seeing like the artistry of it, and like I was like, oh hell yeah, like
So you said you're a reader, and I love, like, when I looked up about you too, it's your bio kind of says in your free time you love to watch movies and read.
Yeah.
That's cool to put in your bio. It makes you sound very smart. I like that. I'm gonna add that to mine. Read, write, is anything, but like that's awesome that like those two things are part of your world, and you seem to be able to integrate them in the films that you're making. I was curious if you could tell us, like, what kind of books do you like to read, and are there any other classic novels that you'd love to adapt?
Oh, well, as you see,
yeah.
This is a part of my library. Yeah, I have. I've read a lot of classics that I love and that I adore. So I can, like, the big ones is like I have a Jekyll and Hyde idea kind of in my head that's brewing. I would also love to do the Count of Monte Cristo. Do like a story of that, and Les Mis, I think, is something that I think would be interesting as well. I don't know if I'd be able to do movies of those. I could try, but yeah. Like, so there's so much stuff that's, again, left on the floor with both of those, that I feel like in order to get the true scope of that story, I would need a big movie deal. It's like
put it out there. Just put it out there.
Put it out there. They'd be like, "Yo, we're gonna give you 2 movies guaranteed," and I'd be like, "All right, then, I'll do it." Or 3 movies guaranteed. Wouldn't be like, "Well, let's do the first one and see." I'm like, "Well, then it's not worth it to me, because I need to make sure I get the whole damn thing out there." So those are just a few, because I just I loved those stories. I would say Sherlock, but BBC already did an incredible job with that, so I'm not touching that. But yeah, there's a lot of great literature out there, man, that I adore, man. I'm always reading.
Do you read anything like modern or new, or do you like mostly like classics and older?
I'm particular about what I read. So like there are some modern stuff, like there's this author named Matt Johnson that I like. He did this book called Pim. That's dope as fuck. And like, so yeah, you know, I travel around. Elmore Leonard is another. I mean, yeah, because he was writing like all the way up to the 2000 and like eights or tens or something like that, I believe. So yeah, I guess he counts. But he started, but you know, he was also in the 70s too. So I don't know if that, you know, so it's like, but I read
mean,
all.
it's more modern than Les Mis, so
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, there you go. So you know, I was like, I read all his shit. So like, I love that. So Cormac McCarthy's another one who I adore. Um, so you know, there's you know, Song of Solomon's back there too. You know,
Very
it's
cool.
like Color Purple's back there. So you know, there's
Nice.
some authors that I'll be fucking with.
Yeah, I love the variety right there, though. I think that's important for people to have like a wide scope of things that they're into or just sources to be able to pull from too.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, I forgot to put I love hip hop too. So I got a catalog in my brain. It's
Yeah.
like gonna happen. It's gonna make its way in.
So Bomani, man, I love that you were able to add your twist to Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This took me back to watching like The People Under the Stairs and like Tales from the Hood for the first time growing up, like for Black horror. What are some of your favorite horror films, man?
Ooh, shit. All right. So, all right, let's go.
On the spot.
So yeah. Yeah, I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, is probably one of my favorite horror films that I've ever watched. I just think it's an incredible movie. So like I love that one. Another one entered the lexicon for me recently. Like I watched it and I was just like, holy shit, you know, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and it kind of just rose to the top. It's this French movie called The Martyrs.
Yeah. Wow. Nice.
Yeah. I was like, when I watched that, I was just like fucking blown away. Like, just like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Just, you know, incredible like horror movie that I fucking love. It's so good. So there's those two, and like, of course, you know, I have other ones like, you know, the original Black Christmas, I think is, you know, pretty fucking stellar. Like, I love that movie. And then you got your cliches like The Shining, of course. You know, it's like the more you watch it, the better it gets, and it's remarkable. And you know, more recently, like I've been seeing like I like this new wave of horror that's happening right now, like with Ari Aster and like The Witch and Hereditary. Like them shits is fucking dope, you know, and like Jordan Peele's tap dancing out here. there's a lot of great horror to fucking deal with, man, and you know, during this like new era or whatever. But yeah, Black Swan's also up there too. Forgot. I don't know why I mentioned that, because Aronofsky's one of my tops. So, but Black Swan I think is a phenomenal horror movie.
Yeah, I am beyond impressed that you threw out Martyrs as one of your tops, and that just blew me away. Damn, dude, that was good. All right.
Nah, that movie's fucked up.
Yes, it really is. And you know, it's like you said, like we have a current new wave, but like when that came out, there was a whole new wave of films coming out from France, and they were like so intense and like, oh man, like Martyrs, Inside, High Tension, all those films when they came out just blew me away. I was so for that period.
French Extreme.
What was that?
French Extreme, right? I think that's
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I think do you like Julia Ducournau, who did Raw? I think that's how you know.
Yep.
Yeah, and Titan, she's the second coming.
That's crazy. Those are two films right there too.
I love her movies. Like I love both of them so much. I was like, I fucking I'll fanboy out over it.
So I mean, as horror fans, obviously we're in good hands hearing your tastes right here. So you know, we already loved your first film, so seeing what you got coming, like that gives us a lot of hope right here. This is good. Can you give our listeners a summary, like a brief summary of your film that we're talking about today?
You know, it's a modern day, what do we want to call it? It's inspired by our modern day vision, or like inspired by Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You know, it's like that story modernized through the eyes of a teenage Black girl. I think, you know, on her journey to cure death.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So Bomani, the film had its premiere at the 2023 South by Southwest Film Festival. What was that experience like for you?
That experience was awesome, man. Like it's like I've been to a couple film festivals with my first movie, which was awesome, with Slam Dance and stuff like that, which was
Yeah.
fantastic. And then, but South by Southwest is like, it's so massive.
Mm.
So like,
Yeah.
there's so much going on.
Overwhelming, dude. How
Yeah,
much is going on?
yeah, it's crazy, but you just like, you run into people who you like only hear about in like interviews or whatever,
Yeah.
you just like run into people that you're a super fan of. Like, speaking of, I ran into Julia over there, which was fucking amazing. And
Mm.
I ran into Matt Johnson, which I thought was fucking awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just kind of been it was a phenomenal experience. Like, so welcoming, so filmmaker friendly, and so like so fun. Yeah, it was great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to know, how was it working with Crypt TV on this project? For everybody out there that's listening right now, Crypt TV is a company that was launched back in like 2015 by Jack Davis and Eli Roth with Blumhouse. So, Bomani, can you tell us about just the experience working with this crew?
Yeah, man, they like it was kind of crazy because what was I doing? I was like assistant editing for them at the time, and like they read my script and they were like, "Oh, this is actually kind of tight." Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, so they brought me in to pitch it, and they took a huge risk on your boy, because I didn't have a feature film under my belt, or at least as a director, so.
Mhm.
They believed in the vision that I was pitching. So yeah, shout out to Crip, Jack and Darren really doing the thizzle.
Mm.
I love that you're like kind of expressing like I think how any of us would feel having these experiences. It's like this is like they're giving me a chance. I'm getting to meet these people. It's like that's such a real thing. So I'm glad to hear like how down to earth and like appreciative you are also of like this experience you're having, because like this is awesome, and it's awesome that you are like people are recognizing your talents.
Yeah.
So but like you're also recognizing the people that kind of were there before you and like kind of how they've influenced you. So it's really cool to kind of see that progression.
Thank you, man. Yeah, no, it's I always try to keep the mindset that like, no one has to make you a movie with you. It's like,
Oh yeah.
that's just a fact, you know what I mean? And no one has to hang around you either. Like, that's just like, so, I'm gonna try to, what I'm saying, like, I try to keep that mentality, it's like, because one, life's too short, and then it's for people fighting in your corner, whether it's Crypt or ALLBlk who's distributing, or even the crew that was behind us in North Carolina, and the just everybody involved is just like, they're doing what they can. So and there can be dust ups, but we always come back and try to do what's right. So like, or try and make the best story possible. So it's like I got to be appreciative of that no matter what.
Wise words right there.
There you go.
I'm gonna nerd out with you for a second because Frankenstein I've kind of like picked apart so many times. So one of the things about Frankenstein is that like the monster highlights like abandonment, and then the story itself kind of highlights like how we treat people who are other and how that impacts them and how they respond to that, right? So I gleaned a lot of that from your film, but I was kind of hoping maybe to hear you elaborate a little bit on those themes or any other themes from the original novel that influenced your story.
Yeah, there are no themes in this movie, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. A themeless movie. Straightforward, right?
Nah, I mean, when I read the original text, like I was just blown away. Mary Shelley was so ahead of her time. And I just thought like a lot of those themes that are in that story resonated with me. Like you said, like abandonment, or prejudice, even like societal or systemic pressures. Like I just felt it was an awesome, like the fact that it could fit so well for a contemporary time. So when I was looking at it, I was just kind of looking and drawing on just like certain themes that I thought would be potent, because sometimes I think people have kind of gotten a little bit away from the novel itself.
Yeah.
And even though this book isn't a complete direct, translation of it, or completely faithful. I do think there's a lot of stuff in there that people like left out, you know, that I thought was really fucking cool, you know, also very potent and moving. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. But yeah, those those themes I thought were just extremely potent for today.
Yeah. I really look forward to, after this film's released, we've been doing, or we're going to continue to do, these episodes called Horror Psych 101. And I really hope that we can take this film at one point and dissect it in like a psychology lens, because it's perfect for it, man. I'm telling you, we can't wait to have more conversations with people about the themes in this film. I don't want to do it now because it's going to spoil it, but like I look forward to it. So thank you for doing something that can make people think too.
Oh yeah, I mean, no problem. It was kind of crazy. I didn't expect that, because I was at the Milwaukee Film Festival, and the high school students there kind of just like rallied around this film to like put it in the thing. They were very passionate about it, and you know, they created this whole like study guide out of the movie for the kids, you know, to watch it. And I was like that was one of the first times I was like, whoa, this is like becoming something. I was like, this is crazy. Like I would have never, you know, expected that. So that's yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, please do it. Yeah, please do. Yeah, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now, how was it working with Chad Coleman? I've been a big fan of his from The Wire, The Walking Dead. I met him back in like 2016. He's a really good dude. How was he on set?
Oh man, Chad Coleman, he's the man. He's the man, yo. Like, he just showed up and, you know, on set doing his damn thing. I've loved him since The Wire, you know, as Cuddy. And then I realized, like, as I was going back, he was in a lot of like rap music videos and shit that I didn't realize, right? And I was a fan of him in those rap videos. I forgot which one it was. It was a Puff Daddy, and when he did, when he opened up a record label down south, and it was the group that Young Jeezy was with when he first came out.
Was it fuck, Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, Boys in the Hood. Yeah. And he's in that. I think he's in that first music video. I was like, what the fuck? Because I like put it back on. I was like, Chad Coleman been following me my whole life. So like, I was real excited that he got to be a part of the movie, and that he, you know, liked the script, and he champions the movie, man. He be out there texting me and calling me and telling me, he's like, man, this fucking movie, and I'm like, and I was like, whoa, like I'm still amazed, you know, because he's an amazing man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now I read that your sisters played a big part in creating this project. With you creating this project, can you share that story with us?
Yeah, growing up, I mean, I had two older sisters, you know, and they were kind of just really, they were my first recognized contact with extreme intelligence and stuff like that, you know. Just because, you know, it's like, you don't want to listen to your fucking parents and shit, like they'll say stuff, but you know, you ain't gonna hear it. But you know, my older sisters, like they're old enough for me to respect their authority, and you know, and young enough for me to, you know, to kind of be like, oh, this is fun. And so from a very young age, you know, my big sister, she just kind of took me under her wing, and taught me things. You know, I would get taught stuff in school, like history, and then I would come home and she would, you know, re-educate me about stuff. You know, and shit like that was just very groundbreaking for me as a kid, and very eye-opening, you know. And they were the ones that kind of told me to be like, yeah, don't let people change your fucking story, you know. And I write little short stories, and like this, I remember that I wrote one, and this teacher like made me rewrite it or something weird like that or whatever. And then my sister, for whatever reason, she read both of them, and then she was just like, don't ever let anybody tell you how to write your fucking story, like, you know. It's just like, you write your fucking story, and you know, you let it be that. You know, and introducing me to like, you know, rap music and shit like that, and you know, relationship advice. It's just, you know, they were both like always there, kind of shepherding my life. So they were kind of my muse in this.
Yeah. That's awesome. because you know this film has a lot of heart. You can feel it in like every scene, from like the parent-teacher meetings, the mispronouncing of the names, the interaction with the kids. You know, just like you said, your sister told you don't let anybody change your story. But you know, are these some things that you have gone through?
Yeah, well, like for particularly with like, I mean, school with the name, it's like, yeah, but that one was particularly
Yeah.
my big sister, like she had an event. I mean, it's like it's legendary, like around our kitchen table. You know, we always
Mhm.
kind of come back to the story of her calling that teacher Miss Bitch or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that was something that happened that she did because the teacher wouldn't pronounce her name right. And she literally told her that where she's like, I'm just gonna call you this because it's easier or whatever, you know, and like
Yeah.
so you know, she gave me the green light to, you know, have that up in there. Um and yeah, so that was something that they went through that I was, you know, I would hear
Mhm.
about as a little boy. And you know, as a grown man as well.
Yeah. So man, like this film just hit me because for me growing up, like in South Providence,
Hmm.
in Rhode Island, where I'm from, I experienced everything that Vicari has gone through in this film. It's crazy because my daughter looks just like the main character, and my main goal as a dad was not to live in an area where I grew up, and
Hmm.
that would allow my kids to witness killings, violence, and drug usage
Hmm.
as she did in the film. And as I did, this alone changed the way that I viewed the film, and
Hmm.
and that was my real life nightmare. So just the situations of growing up, I didn't want them to go through it. How did you cope with? Did you have to go through any experiences like this, and how did you cope with it?
Go with now. This was like, you know, the people around me more. And like, you know, I had some kids, like some of my best friends were growing up in the, you know, in the public housing complexes that uh
Hmm.
I'd be hanging out with. But as far as just like growing up and hanging around in there, this was more me hearing my stories from my cousins and, you know, my
Yeah,
sisters and things of that nature. And it was, you know, fortunate for me, it's like, you know, my parents, you know, they grew up on the rough part of Chicago and they ran from
mhm,
that to, you know, to do exactly what you're talking about with your kids, you
yeah,
know. So but yeah.
yeah. Because that was the thing. It was just like watching movies was my escape. And
Yeah.
like when I wasn't able to go outside, if there was a shooting or something just going on outside,
Mhm.
I had told Amelia Kincaid from Night of the Demons about this, and she stated, "You replaced horror in your life with horror on the screen." You know,
Yeah.
and so I was just
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, definitely feel that," because like everything, like in the scene, like you know, with the shootings and when she was looking out her window and you see the paramedics trying to save someone, like I would view that shit all the time, man, and it just became so normal, and it was just like, damn, this isn't right, you know what I mean? And then like, just growing up, just wondering, like clearing out and trying to see like who was it, who got shot, who got hit, and just think about like, damn, that could have been me because I was just walking down that street. I just came back from the corner store, you know? So
Yeah.
it's just hard at times, man. And then like that's why I said like this film just hit me like a different way because some people really don't understand like black horror, and because like the views that we see it at times, you know. It's
Yeah.
not
No.
always just a slasher or anything like that. It's just it's much bigger than that.
No, 100%. And, you know, I think, I don't know, like in our community, it's like it's very, I mean, life is very precious, but we
Mhm.
also understand how quickly it can vanish.
Yeah,
You,
definitely.
you know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, man, I'm glad you're doing your thizzle and changing the narrative, B.
I
Like,
appreciate
you know what I
it.
mean? It's like, yeah, you're out here doing that.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I appreciate that, man. And I appreciate this film. And I think that a lot of young black kids growing up will appreciate this film too. So like definitely that's why I had to reach out. I was just like, hey, man, like this film is just crazy. And so congratulations on that, man.
Oh man, thank you. I'm glad that, you know, you guys are resonating with it. You
Hmm.
know, like I hope it's able to find an audience.
Yeah.
Mm.
So in the film, you know, early on, the character describes death as a virus,
Yeah.
and I think that's a kind of a really cool concept. The
Mhm.
way that it's, you know, framed, and particularly like within a impoverished community where like the conditions can lead to like violence, drugs, and you know other things for, you know, dangerous lifestyles. You know, what made you, where did you come up with this idea as like viewing death as a virus? Like what gave you that influence?
It was two things, you know. To me, first and foremost, the thing that gave me the language was the movie, was Aronofsky's movie, The Fountain.
Mhm.
Um, you know, it's like in that movie, he's like, you know, death is a disease, you
Mm.
know, and I was like, but as I was like looking at when I was writing this, you know, and thinking about Vicaria and how she feels about it, she always like, it just felt like it was I mean, it does feel that way, where it's just like it's this disease one run rampant, you
Okay.
know, that
Yeah.
needs to be cured and stopped, you know, and like, so it's, I definitely think it's a feeling that I believe a lot of people in my community can, you know, can understand, you
Mhm.
know, that we have to witness all this Black Death all the time,
Mhm.
you know, and wanting it to stop in some shape or form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that was Vicaria's, just that was her viewpoint, and that's what she wanted. And then, you know, the fountain kind of gave me the language of how to crystallize that, you know, into that feeling, into just like one line. You
Mhm.
know, it's like
I love it.
this
Yeah.
can be cured, you know.
Yeah.
Between the use of the virus, death as a virus, and then your introduction of like a word that people hate, but it's true. It's present no matter what. Microaggressions are like the way that you like throw them in there as well, because the school scene is like so impactful. Like the mispronunciation of the name, the teacher asks the parents where they're from, because just
Yeah.
like things that are just so they happen so casually every day. But
Mhm.
what a lot of people don't understand is like when people experience microaggressions on like a regular basis, it can lead to like long-term impacts like depression, low self-esteem, low
Mhm.
self-worth, which if you think about it, all those things are what keep people within their current conditions. Like
Yeah.
you don't leave your current conditions because you don't think you're worthwhile enough, or you don't have the motivation or whatever. So it kind of explains more of like why, you know, the virus is able to spread, because people don't leave, you know. So for her to be represented as like someone who lives in that community but has potential, and you can kind of see the environmental struggles that she's dealing with, I thought it was a great representation of like a model like character, like who, like, you know, you would want someone to look up to.
Yeah.
um so I mean, and would you say you kind of modeled that after like your sisters, just kind of like that strong, intelligent female character?
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's just like, yeah, that kind of always goes back to them with that. You know, they were
Mhm.
the girls that were kind of running around in their wild ass adventures, but always having like,
Mhm.
you know, it's like, because I just remember seeing my big sister arguing with my cousins, because you know they were, you know, they're from South Central, you
Mhm.
know, they were raised in a little bit different situation than I was. Um, and got, you know, caught up in a bunch of stuff that, like, you know, that I was able to avoid, you know. And when they would come over and be telling me shit and showing me shit, and then, you know, my sister would be arguing with them about showing me shit, and like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It was just like she
Mhm.
was she was always that person in the room, you know, that
Yeah.
was just kind of, you know what I mean, like doing
Mhm.
that. So yeah, man, like trying to capture that and show my, you know, my sister's humanity through these characters, as well as, you know, my cousins and my brothers, like showing their humanity as well, you know, because I feel
Mhm.
like that just gets lost, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So Bomani, thank you so much for joining us. I know your time has come to an end here on this,
Yeah.
but man, honestly, you know, in the future, please stop by again when you have another project coming out. We want to pick your brain. Don't
Yeah.
forget about us. All right.
No, no, no. Y'all don't forget about me. That's how
Yeah.
No, and I'm glad that this movie could touch y'all, and like,
Mhm.
yeah, appreciate seeking it out. And yeah, man, I'm really glad that it resonated with you. You know, it's like, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate y'all having me on here.
No
Absolutely.
doubt.
Yeah.
So everybody listening, make sure you check out The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster in theaters and on demand in digital June 9th. You guys are going to enjoy it, and we appreciate you listening. Have a great night.
Yeah, show up to them theaters June 9th, baby.